right, welcome to another episode of the Logicast. My name is BlankaKong. I'm joined by Gunner Eos and this is Esoteric Skills. This week's episode is going to be kind of a general topic, and it's about collector's editions, specifically modern collector's editions. So, for those who don't know, most, if not pretty much all, modern collector's editions that have come out over the last, I'm going to say, 3 years or so. 3 years to today, and of course, moving forward, it's probably going to be the same thing. Usually come with like some sort of statue, other gimmicks like a soundtrack, an art book, medallions or pins, things of this nature. And it does come with the game usually, right? It usually comes with like the deluxe version of the game, whatever the highest tier is.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
more often than not, a digital copy of the game, and ironically, with a steelbook case to boot. And so today's topic is are modern collector's editions a scam? Are companies doing this to get you to double dip and buy the physical copy as well? Is it that it's just cheaper to just have the digital game inside the collector's edition, so they're just trying to shave costs? I've also noticed that modern collector's editions tend to be a lot more expensive than collector's editions from like maybe 5-10 years ago, of more or less the same quality. What's going on with that? Why is that a thing? Are you okay with it? Do you like it? Do you not care? That's what we're going to be discussing today. So I'll just kind of go first, and then I'll let you guys chime in and give in your opinions. Me personally, I hate it. I hate modern collector's editions because I feel like the price points are way too high for a lot of the statues and things of this nature that we get are of lower quality and aren't particularly amazing pieces to add to, a collection of statues or anything like that. An example would be Mr. Esoteric will have a lot to say about this because he has a lot of modern collector's editions, and he does do unboxings on this channel, so definitely check out that content. But one that I particularly hated, and it's sad because other entries of the franchise I thought had fantastic collector's editions, is Mortal Kombat 1. The Mortal Kombat 1 collector's edition is total ass cheeks. I hate it, and it's like a $200 or $300 collector's edition. I was like, what the fuck were you guys thinking with this thing? The statue, I think the art design is terrible for it. From what I could tell, the quality doesn't look all that great. And I don't know if this one came with a digital code for the game. Can you confirm if it did or didn't?
It was a physical copy.
Okay, so they got that right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But for the most part, many other collector's editions come with digital. I know you got, what was it that came with digital? Was it Final Fantasy?
It
I know
was
Horizon.
No, not Final
I know
Fantasy.
Horizon came with it, and Spider-Man came with it. Digital.
Yeah, Horizon, Spider-Man, Shadow of the Earth Tree, which was a given because it was an expansion, so I kind of like let that go. What else?
I know you got Tekken 8, Final Fantasy Rebirth, Armor Core.
Yeah, those were all physical.
Okay, so then I guess it's like maybe it's more of a Sony thing. I guess I don't know, but I don't like the fact that it doesn't come with a physical copy of the game. That already kind of pisses me off. But also just the quality, I think, isn't up to snuff for the price point that they're asking for. So I'm not a fan. I don't usually get collector's editions anymore. I used to buy them a little more frequently back then. In, I'm going to say the 2010, 2010s era, I would definitely pick up a collector's edition without even batting an eye. Like, I wouldn't even research it, really. I would just be like, okay, I'm getting the I would just get the highest tier of the game.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I remember those particular games. I mean, 150 was considered the premium price back then. So now that the norm is like $200 to $300, it's like oof. And you could blame that on inflation. That's fair, but like, I don't know. I think it's a load of shit personally. But that's just my opinion. We could get into the details as to probably why and if it's worth it. Mr. Esoteric can dive into the specifics of each collector's edition he bought recently and talk about that. Um, and then Gunner can chime in with his history with collector's editions, and we can kind of like compare notes. So, with that being said, Mr. Esoteric, what are your thoughts on, or if Gunner wants to go first, whichever, it doesn't matter to me.
Sure, I'll definitely go first. With the MK1, I think it's a decent statue. I do like it. I like the aesthetic. I don't know, Kong, if you've gotten to see it in person or if like you only see it based upon the pictures, but it is pretty detailed. Now, I will say this though. I will say out of all the Mortal Kombat Collector's Editions, I would have to say this one is the weakest piece. One, because I'm not really like big on Liu Kang as much as I am Scorpion, and two, I think like the overall setup of the statue looked better. Like I believe it was Mortal Kombat 9 or 10, where you got book holders. One of Scorpion doing his famous "Get Over Here" move, and then the other end is Sub Zero being impaled by it, and it kind of fits the narrative of he's basically throwing his spear through the books, and outside of the book, here comes Sub Zero getting like hit from behind with the spear, so that's pretty cool. And it was also a lot of Scorpion. They had like the Scorpion mask, which I didn't get, and they had like the Scorpion statue, which was inspired by the original Mortal Kombat games. So if I had to compare, the Liu Kang one is the weakest one. Um, in regards to like collector's editions overall, I would say it's rather frustrating. Buying statement pieces for games that you really enjoy or games that you're looking forward to, and they pretty much kind of gimp you in a sense of they're giving you a digital copy of the game. Now, in regards to your question as to whether or not they're double dipping or they're trying to cut costs, I believe it's absolutely the former. I absolutely believe that they're double dipping simply because if you're not going to give me the physical disc, why would you give me a steelbook case? That doesn't make any sense. I don't know any gamers, with the exception of kids, who would miscategorize their games. Like, as in they don't care which box they put it in or which case. Let's say if you have Mortal Kombat and you put it in the Street Fighter case or whatnot. Kids don't care about that. I haven't seen adult gamers who don't care about that. Like they typically, we tend to put things back where they belong for organizational purposes, and if we want to play the game again, we don't have to look through other cases just to see the game that we are searching for to play. Um, I feel like it's a very shitty tactic, and also considering the price points that I do pay for these collector's editions. Um, Now, a way for me to kind of like circumvent the issue I'm having pertaining to these collector's editions, because one, I do enjoy the contents in them, and two, another reason why it gives me an incentive to get them is because it's more content for the channel and for the viewers to see. Um, but a way to circumvent it is that I would make a trade with people who are intending to purchase a game of a collector's edition that I acquired digitally. I would trade them my digital code for their cash. And what I would do is take that cash and buy a physical copy of the game. Um, Now, that really helps me because not only do I get a physical copy of the game, I can put it in its respective steelbook case that came with the collector's edition, as well as I get an extra case to put aside in case like I decide to buy an old game and it doesn't have a case, and I can utilize that in as a replacement for that game. Um, so there is a way to kind of get around it. However, it's annoying to have to do that. You know what I'm saying? For me to have to say, hey, are you planning on buying this game? Are you planning on buying it digital? Hey, I'll give you the money. I have a digital code. Here you go. Have at it. It's really annoying. Like, I'd rather just open up my game, play my game, put the disc in, you know, and let it do its thing. And also, as you guys already know, as well as, you know, the viewers who watch on a consistent basis, and the theme of digital versus physical, which one is superior, which one do you like more? Everybody already knows that I prefer physical media for a plethora of reasons. One being that it is a physical copy, and I like to, you know, call me an old man, call me an old gamer, but I like to see my collection grow physically. Um, Also, the fact that it has fiscal value. So, you know, even though it's highly unlikely that I would trade in my games or whatever, if there is an occasion where I'm really down on my funds, I can easily just trade in a game and get some type of revenue back. Digital games, you can't do that at all, you know. Um, Also, there is the aspect of taking utilizing the backwards compatibility of your consoles. You know, I have a physical disc PS5. I can actually play my PS4 games, and you know, the catalog of games that I have in my library, some of which are not displayed on the Sony store. So even if I wanted to buy it digitally, I can't because they're not there. And then also, if I were to kind of like save space, so to speak, I can get rid of my current PS4 and focus on just playing primarily my PS5 my PS5 with PS5 games and the PS4. So there's a lot of pros to physical media. I don't see as much with digital, other than the fact that you get to save a significant amount of space. Because I'm not going to lie, if you're a gamer, if you collect things, it does take up a significant portion of space. Like, I had to buy a rotating shelf unit just so I can house all my games. So yeah, pretty much to answer your question, you know, I dislike the price point of the collector's editions. I don't like the business practice of excuse me, of them providing steelbook cases for digital games. That doesn't make absolutely no sense. Um, I don't know if you guys noticed it as well. It's kind of like when they provide you a physical copy of the game and they give you like the little latches that used to hold the manuals, but they don't provide manuals anymore. It's like, what is the point of having that there? You guys don't
Yeah.
manuals for games anymore. Mostly digital. You kind of provide those manuals in that form. But yeah, I don't like the price point. I don't like the business practice that they have done. And you know, if it weren't for me trying to promote the channel and coming up with like coming up with that category of like new collector's editions, I'd probably be a little more cognizant of what I get. Not saying that I don't currently, because I only mostly do it for games that I enjoy and I know I'm going to have a good time with. Um, but honestly speaking, you know, if you guys are a little bit more like, basically what I'm trying to say is that if you guys are not as financially sound, I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend you guys doing that because it's not worth it unless you incorporate the method that I do with like trading the digital for physical. Um, and if you really are interested in the game. But yeah, that's pretty much my take on it.
Okay. Yeah. I get that. I definitely feel that collector's editions. I think they've always been like this. They are not made equally. There are some games that they feel like, or I feel like they release a collector's edition because it's a thing you're supposed to do, And then there are other games that release a collector's edition that take pains and they strive to like they produce a collector's edition that's worth the price point. So back then, like the PlayStation, I guess, yeah, probably big around like the PlayStation 3 to middle of the PlayStation 4 era. I was collector's edition only. If it had a collector's edition, I didn't even look at anything else, and I bought it. And these were games that seemed interesting to me, not die-hard franchises that I love, like Zelda. These were like I bought collector's edition for Borderlands 2. Like, I mean, a game that was okay, but it's just like I didn't need to buy a collection for Borderlands 2. I bought
What that came with?
It came with a bobblehead of I don't know the character's name anymore, but he was in charge of the gun store. Like, so when you bought guns at the town, he was the vendor. It came with a bobblehead of him.
Okay.
And it was a functioning bobblehead, so neat. But and you know, I bought collector's edition for Skyrim, which came with a cool dragon, but it's just like I'm not a super mega fan of the Elder Scrolls series. Like Skyrim was my first, like for a lot of people. So looking back on it, it's like, why did I buy that collector's edition? Luckily, you know, I gave it to Kong, and you know, he's displaying it, and it's around, so it's like, you know, it didn't end up in a landfill somewhere. And you know, I bought the collector's edition for Assassin's Creed 3, which again was a good game, but why? So I was pretty irresponsible with buying collector's edition. But for me, what I like from a collector's edition, if I feel like there's exclusive
Content.
Not so much exclusive content, because I that's stuff that we get with modern games. Like Ubisoft is pretty infamous with that, where they'll lock certain missions behind certain editions and collector's editions. So not necessarily that, but stuff that feels like the physical media that you get with it is truly unique. So some of the collector's editions that I like, and there's obviously going to be a bias there. I think there's a bias with any collector's edition, unless you're a millionaire and you just buy things because you have more money than you'll ever spend, which I am definitely not one of those. There are certain collector's editions that I place more value on because they just feel more premium. So I'm looking, I know none of you guys can see it, but right now I'm looking at the Tales of Symphonia collector's edition for the PlayStation 3. Now I bought that. That was like 100, I think like 120 at the time it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And what it comes with a full light novel based on Tales of Symphonia. It comes with the collector's edition soundtrack of Symphonia 1 and 2. So that's the full soundtracks, not samples, which a lot of modern games put in their soundtracks, but the full soundtrack for both Tales of Symphonia 1 and 2. And it also came with limited edition figures. So it came with figures of the main characters from Symphonia 1 and 2, which I still have to this day. They're high quality figures from Good Smile. These are the type of stuff that you pay like $50 or $60 for individually. And it came with the collector's edition. And then last but not least, it came with a mini art book, basically explaining the main characters from the first two games, and the physical game itself in a special edition case. This was before steelbooks were kind of a prominent thing, so it was a standard plastic PlayStation 3 case. So for me, that's a good example of a worthwhile collector's edition, because not only do I get a light novel, which is a small book, I get the full soundtrack and physical merch in the form of collector's edition figures that are high quality and stuff that is normally sold in Japan as a premium. I also get the physical game. So it's like, it goes back to my first statement of not all special editions and collector's editions are made equal. And unfortunately, I feel there are a lot of collector's editions more so now that were also there back then that are done by certain companies that are used to kind of milk people for all their worth. And I'm going to name them by name. I think Ubisoft with the Assassin's Creed franchise is pretty notorious for that. Because I think back to the Assassin's Creed 3 Collector's Edition, it came with a statue of Connor. The statue was fine, but it just wasn't worth the asking price, which was pricey back then. I can only imagine how much that translates to now with inflation. But I look to games like the latest Assassin's Creed, Shadows that is coming out, and I feel like the collector's edition they're giving, same with the not the last game, but the Odyssey. Those two collector's editions and the way they piecemeal their collector's editions, it's more Ubisoft, it's more abusive pricing, and they're now doing it with their collector's edition. So if you want to get the full statue, you have to buy the full collectors. But in the case of Odyssey, if you're broke, well, I guess you could just get the statue of the main character. It's going to look weird because you don't have the other statue that goes along with it. But hey, I guess you shouldn't have been so broke, and you should have been able to get the full collector's edition. It kind of comes off like that, and I don't know. I don't like that, which again is not Ubisoft, and companies like Ubisoft have been doing that for a while. This is not brand new. But I feel like overall the quality of collector's editions have become more corporatized. They're more hashtag collector's edition instead of we're going to make this collector's editions for the fans because we know that they're going to want to pay a premium for some premium merchandise along with their games. It feels like a lot of collector's editions nowadays are collector's editions because that's a standard that we've set. And it feels very corporate and very soulless in their collector's editions. So, that's my rant. Thank you for coming. I'll have more to chime in as we progress. But yeah, TLDR, collector's editions, in my opinion, have become more soulless and just an extra opportunity for these publishers to get more money out of fans.
That's interesting. Also, on your take in regards to like Assassin's Creed, so I just wanted to get like a little more clarity with that because I haven't touched an Assassin's Creed game since Assassin's Creed 2, and Assassin's Creed Shadows definitely does look interesting to me. For anybody who knows me personally or just, as a acquaintance, you guys know that I love anything samurai, ninjas, whatever. Love Japan aesthetic, Japan lore, anything of that nature. So that's why I was interested in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, with its previous collector's editions, because this particular one, I picked it up because I do enjoy the statue. The statue looks pretty cool. It has two characters. It has like right beneath them a little bit of land where like a couple of swords are kind of like shoved into the ground, couple of helmets as if they're on the battlefield or whatnot. So it looks pretty cool to me. So now what you were saying is, and hopefully I got that right, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that what they would do with previous collector's editions is that they would kind of sever off each of the characters and then sell them separately or as a whole to put them together to make one big piece. Is that?
Yeah, I don't think they did that for every Assassin's Creed, but I know for a fact Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the one that took place in Greece where you played as a Spartan, that one for sure. There was the standard edition, there was like the deluxe edition, and then they had a collector's edition that was the main character kind of like stabbing upwards towards, no, she was stabbing downwards because Assassin's Creed, so she has the hidden blade out and she's gonna assassinate. And then the big boy collector's edition, the final one, gave you the same statue of the main character, but it gave you the target that she was assassinating. So it was the Greek soldier that she was assassinating to complete the actual statue set. So
Okay, I'm looking
yeah,
at it now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. The overall piece looks cool, but I'd be really frustrated as a person who wants to support the franchise, where it's like you guys are just giving me the main character just stabbing with nothing behind it. Like,
right. It looks weird
yeah,
because there's supposed to be a second component to the statue, and again, this is just like it's sad that this has become a thing, but that's just the Ubisoft thing. So like, if you want the full one, you got to spend, which I think it was over $200 at the time for that collector's edition because you know it came with the statue. Again, I don't know the quality. It could have been an amazing quality. I know again these statue qualities are hit or miss, but that idea of piecemealing out a kind of like a thematic statue that tells a story behind two different collector's editions, not the biggest fan of. Um,
no, I can completely understand that. I would say, however, that it's not just Ubisoft that does this because more recently, Horizon, Gorilla, they did the same thing, but in a more, I would say, clever way. So there's in Horizon Forbidden West, there's this new I was gonna say creature, but it's actually like this new robot. It's called the Trematusk. It's a mastodon, and what they did was they separated it into tiers. So I have the one after which I'm about to mention in a few moments, but there was one tier, the collector's edition, where you got the Trematusk and a couple of other trinkets along with it, but the Trematusk did not have, all it was just the Trematusk. Now the one I got, which was called the Regala edition, you got the Trematusk, but it had a bunch of like different characters on top of it, and it also was like a different color. Um, it had like it was like a different tier to it. It was like, if I had to compare, the collector's edition was like pretty much pure white, and then the Regala edition had like a bit of red in it, as well as the enemies that you engage in combat that rides on the Trematusk. So they've done it as well. It's just that they did it in a more clever way, because if you got the collector's edition, you would have felt like you would have got the entire piece. They didn't take anything away from you that you would have noticed if you ain't see the Regala edition, if that makes any sense. In this particular case though, you can definitely see like, okay, if she's doing a downward thrust and jumping off of a ledge or whatever, who is the person that she's attacking? So I definitely get your point in regards to that.
yeah, it's just the piecemealing of these collector's editions, which I feel this is all anecdotal. I feel it's becoming more of a norm instead of an exception because um, so you guys might consider this different, but Zelda, a franchise I've loved, they did that with their collector's editions as well. When Breath of the Wild was coming out, they had the Master Sword collection, which came with a really nice miniature replica of the Master Sword, and it lights up, right? Because I know you have it, Esoteric. Does it like light up or not? I don't
I don't know
remember.
because I didn't open it. Like
Okay, so
Zelda collector's editions are so valuable. Like I didn't
no,
open that one.
fair. No, I get you. I get you. So I don't know. Okay, so I'm not going to claim that it does. So it may or may not. But they also released a lesser collector's edition, which came with a carrying case for the Nintendo Switch. If you bought that version, and it came with, I believe a physical copy of the game and trinkets like a map and coins and stuff like that. So like that was a lesser collector's edition. The price reflected it. Like the one I bought was less. It cost less than the Master Sword edition. So in that respect, I think it's again. This might be my bias coming in, but I feel like that's a little bit less egregious because they're not piecemealing the collector's edition. They're just offering two separate options. one is more expensive than the other, and you, the viewer, you know, the buyer can choose which one they want to get or which one you're lucky to get. Because I was too slow to the game, and I missed out on the Master Sword edition, and I was able to get the secondary edition, which was fine. I was able to still support my simp ways for The Legend of Zelda, but it wasn't the Master Sword edition, which I would have liked. But it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, and I can absolutely respect that method of like separation, because you want your fans to acquire something, a part of what you've created, in a way that even if they don't get the biggest version, they feel fulfilled in their purchase. It's like, well, I didn't get the Master Sword, but at least I got this case. That this case for my Switch, or a couple of other trinkets as well. That's completely understandable because not many people can uh have the financial backing to purchase the biggest of editions. But to like Ubisoft perspective, to just completely take away a fraction of the statue, that's kind of that's a bit egregious. And I completely understand where you're coming from, because like I would have, if I purchased this, or if I couldn't purchase it, I would have been more understanding if they took a couple of other things besides the statue. Because the statue, honestly, I would say that's the reason why most people acquire collector's editions, because they want that statement piece in their room, to display on their shelves, or whatever units they have to showcase their stuff. I think that's the biggest piece that people look forward to. I mean, aside from the game, right? Because you can buy the game separate, but I think the biggest reason of even acquiring a collector's edition is typically 9 times out of 10 the statue. So, with Ubisoft practice of completely severing off half of it, that kind of sucks. It's not like a collector's edition of having Metroid. You have Miss Samus, and you have one where she's in her regular suit, and then you have another one where she's in her various suit, and pieces of it lights up. That's completely understandable. You might miss out on the lighting feature if you don't get the various suit. However, you still have the fulfilled um, statue that is Samus. So I completely understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, I've always been a fanner. Wow. I've always been a fan of kind of like the low spec, simple collector's editions. Because
Okay.
some of my favorite collector's editions are there's three of them. It's the Bravely Default Collector's Edition, the Shimigami Tensei 4 Collector's Edition, and the well, I guess I cheated. Bloodborne and Demon Souls Collector's Editions.
Oh, I didn't even
So,
know Bloodborne had a collector's edition.
but that's the thing. Like, it was a collector's edition, but not the bombastic collector's editions that we think of. Because I think that word has been shifted over time into things like the Assassin's Creed and the Zelda, which now these collector's editions that I'm going to reference, they would now be considered special edition, not collectors. But at the time, they were collectors. So for the Xenoblade, oh, not Xenoblade, sorry, the Bravely Default Collector's Edition, it was simple. It came with the physical 3DS game, the full soundtrack, and collector cards of all the characters in the game. Simple, simple collector's edition. It didn't cost hundreds of dollars, but it was for fans of, at the time, this new IP. So I appreciate that. Shimigami Tensei 4's collector's edition are some of my favorite ones because it came with the game and a full strategy guide, a full collector's edition strategy guide that you could use and get through the game with. Same with Bloodborne and not Demon Souls, Dark Souls on PlayStation 3. It came with the physical game and a full strategy guide. Now, you can go like, oh, well, you could just buy the strategy guide separately. True. That's a correct statement. But it was something about the nice bundled package where it's just like you pay a little bit extra and you get something tangible and helpful, like a strategy guide or a soundtrack with all of the music in the game. Now, granted, the Bravely Default was before things like Spotify and Apple Music became a thing, so you could just call that a sign of the times. But again,
Still
we're
doing
guys.
it. They're
Yeah,
still
I
doing
mean,
it.
yeah. So but those are the collector's editions I like, and I'll call them collector's editions. I might be using different terminology. I'll call them collector's editions. Little, like, very low footprint, very like demure collector's editions where you paid a little bit extra than its retail price, but they felt like they were for fans of the series, because only a fan is going to care about the soundtrack or care about getting an inbuilt strategy guide. But now collector's editions, they have to kind of one up themselves and be more and more bombastic, and that's why I personally don't buy collector's editions anymore. On
No,
top of the fact that 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a digital code for the game.
yeah, I completely understand. Absolutely where you're coming from. I mean, no matter what they label it, it's always going to be a collector's edition because it deviates from the original. Um, they'll just name it differently depending upon how many tiers the collector's editions
Yeah, true.
come with. You'll have the collector's edition, then you have the premium edition, then you have the godly edition, or whatever the hell they decide to define it as. But a collector's edition is a collector's edition at the end of the day. And I didn't even really look at it from that perspective, because although I do appreciate a good strategy guide and I do appreciate like lithographs, like I think the last thing I've purchased that contained lithographs was a Front Mission for the Switch, and it had a couple of like nice looking lithographs
Oh, yeah.
for it, and I was like, oh, this is really cool or whatnot. So they don't have to be super like out there and whatnot. I personally just like the statues because I like to come into my room and I like to take a look at the statues because they are aesthetically pleasing. Like I do like, especially if they're well detailed. Like I did like the Spider-Man 2 collector's edition more so because of the Venom and the two Spider-Men fighting him. But that's pretty much all it came with, as far as I recollect. It came with the steelbook case as well, and of course the game, but it didn't come with much. It didn't provide much. But the statue alone was like incentive for me enough to get it. I also like another thing that didn't come with much, Soul Calibur. Sophia is one of my favorite characters, and that statue is like amazing. It's well crafted. It definitely captures the essence of her. And then I also like the recently acquired the Elden Ring Shadow of the Earth Tree, which is I think it's my first. I think it is my first purchase of like the Soul series statues and whatnot. The other one I got from Dark Souls 2 that was given to me by a good friend of ours. But I like the whole Shadow of the Earth Tree. I like the Mesmer the Impaler. And I also enjoyed the helmet that you can actually wear. It is a 1-to-1 scale. So, I personally just love to have statement pieces of the games that I, enjoy playing. But I do also enjoy, the little trinkets that you get for the little collector's editions as well.
Yep. I mean, I don't buy them much anymore, because I just can't bring myself to spend that much money anymore. Like, and it really, for me anyway, it has to be worth it. So, like, a game as that's coming out as of the filming of this video is Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. That had a collector's edition where it showed the main character kind of picking up an alien by its neck, but it was kind of a bust. So it was just his upper half. And as a fan of 40K, I kind of instinctively almost bought it. But when I sat down and really thought about it, I was like, well, it is cool, but I mean, I wish they would have given me a full-size statue of him, like on a rock, holding the alien up, ready to kill him. to me, that would have been a better collector's edition, and that would have prompted me to buy it. So even though I plan on getting that game day one, I'm just going to get the standard edition, because even though I'm a fan of 40K, and this is kind of like mainstream 40K merch that I could get, to me, it didn't justify its asking price. So,
Yeah.
like I said, all collector editions are not made equal. Some are, quite frankly, lamer than others, but that's going to be a personal preference, and you'll find your break point where this is not worth it, and your break point is going to be different from other people's break points. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're all, given the time of this recording, we're all adults. So, we have to be a little more conscious with how we spend our money. With me spending more on collector's edition than you guys, there is an enjoyment of acquiring them, but there's also like trying to get the channel more content. So there's that. So it makes a lot of sense as to why, given our circumstances as a whole, why we would be a little more cognizant as to why, certain collector's editions might not be as appealing as others, or why we would require more from a collector's edition in order for us to want to spend hundreds of dollars on said product. So I get that 100%.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been going back and forth playing ping pong. What you have to say, Kong? We've kind of like kind of been playing monkey in the middle here, and we decided to give you the ball and let you take a turn on your perspectives about it.
Yeah, so I didn't want to interrupt. You guys had a good flow, so I just sat back and listened. To take it back to the original topic, is our modern collector's edition a scam? I think so. Yeah. I think considering the technology that's available now to average Joe, as far as like 3D printers are concerned, and the kind of quality that can be achieved for a pretty low entry point, and then to see what is kind of offered to us as consumers for like premium prices, like the price of some of these collector's editions, you could buy a 3D printer and material and make your own thing. That's you can absolutely do. And so it just bothers me that we're nickeled and dimed as hard as we are. And then, an example of that, and I hate to do this because it's a game that I really enjoy and a game I like, but I don't like the way they went about the collector's edition, is Armored Core 6. So, Esoteric, you bought the Armored Core 6, the highest tier collector's edition that was available. I think it retailed for like $450, $479, something like that. And with taxes and shipping, it was pretty close to probably $600. You don't have to disclose exactly how much you paid, but that's just me kind of like piecing ballpark numbers together. So I thought about it.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I was like, wow, that looks cool. And it was just the basic mech inside of like a garage kind of holder gimmick thing, and it did come with the game, and it came with some other stuff like I think a code for the soundtrack and some pins for the companies in the game and the story and stuff, and it came with like an art book, right? Like a small art book.
Yes.
Okay. So that's all fine and dandy, but that's a lot of money, right? For really not that much product. And then you might be thinking, well, surely the scale is pretty like significant, and it's not. The scale of the statue is about 6 or 7 inches tall, which is about the size of like a high grade model kit. If you buy like a Gundam model kit or something like that, that's like the size of a high grade kit, which are usually like anywhere from like $15 to $30. So it's like, damn, the fact that they charge that much money for this effectively a model kit with zero articulation, by the way, is like mind blowing to me. It's like, this is such a fucking scam. Like I can't justify spending this much. And I thought about it because I'm a big fan of just mechs in general, and I was really looking forward to Armored Core 6, and the game was fantastic. I don't have any regrets with the game itself. it's just the price point of the statue of the whole collector's edition was just like it was off-putting. It was like really egregious. Really is the word that comes to mind. And if I just got the edition that didn't come with the garage, it was like $100 cheaper or something like that. It was like $3 something, which is still a lot of money. I'm like, I'm about to pay $200 for like a model kit, really, like that I can't even pose. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to. That's a no from me, dog. And when you got it, and there's a video of Esoteric showcasing it on the channel, so I'll link that in the description in case anybody wants to watch it. And I saw it, and I was really underwhelmed when you took it out and you showcased it, and I was just thinking back to that price point. I was like, oof, I'm so glad I didn't buy it. And then, fast forward a year later, we're getting official model kits of Armored Core 6 of the same one that they showcased in the collector's edition, and the same model kit with articulation and all that for $27 or $30 or something like that. And I'm just like, wow. Like, a lot of people aren't going to make that correlation, but like I absolutely did. And so seeing that just pisses me off a little bit, because I was pretty close. I wouldn't say too close, but I thought about, because I had the money. I was like, I can $600. That's just a few days of work, right? I was like trying to justify it in my mind, but then the logical side of me came up, and I was like, no, I don't. It's just a bad play, man. And listen, I love statues. I have most of the collector statues for the Dark Souls games. I have the collector's edition for Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. I bought Yorm the Giant, the statue for Dark Souls 3. I have him. I've got a bunch of like smaller statues of like the Black Knight from Dark Souls 1. I have Oscar from Dark Souls 1. I have a statue of him. I got a bunch of like little statues. I got a ton of other statues from other games. I got like 12 Monster Hunter statues, and these are all like $200 to $250 statues. So it's not like I'm not unwilling to pay, but I have to have an attachment to the character or the creature or whatever it is, and B, I have to feel like the quality is going to meet the price point, right? I understand that companies need to make a profit, and I'm okay with paying more than, let's say if it takes $120 to produce this statue, and that includes the shipping and the IP licensing. Let's say it costs $120 and they charge $200. I get that, all right? They deserve to make a profit if they're going to make a product that I'm going to enjoy. That's fair. I'm okay with that. But when you got something that you're effectively selling for $30 a year later, and you're charging $500 for it, we'll say $400 because the game and some of the other pieces, let's say that's $100, right? So we'll shave $100 and we'll say $400. That's still a lot of money, and I feel like that's a scam. Like, that to me is crazy. Mr. Esoteric also purchased the collector's edition for Final Fantasy Rebirth, and he I don't know if he posted a video about it. I don't think he did, but he showed a video about of him showing the bottom of the statue, and it's a statue of Sephiroth standing on top of like a piece of rock or something like that. But the base that he's standing on is hollow, and there's no weight to it whatsoever. And the fucking thing, it fell, and his arm broke off because the integrity of the build
very frustrated.
Was poor. And I'm just like, and he paid like $250 for this thing. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about? So when I see things like that, and I make the correlations to other products that are very similar, and then I see things like the Tekken 8 Collector's Edition, being a $300 Collector's Edition at launch, and then 6 months later, fucking Bandai Namco is like blowing up my email. Don't miss out. $150, $120. Like, they're trying to push this thing down my throat. I'm just like, damn. So if y'all willing to sell it for that much or that low, how much did you really pay to produce this product, right? If you're willing to, take a cut in your profits or break even, because they're definitely not going to sell it at a loss. I doubt that, right? Because Tekken 8 is a pretty big franchise. So it's like, damn, I see all that, and it just sours me on just collector's editions as a whole today. And to be fair, maybe it was always this way, and I'm just more awake now, I'm more aware now, and just I have better foresight. That's possible. But I don't know, because I look at my older collector's editions from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and I look at the collector's editions that are coming out now, and I see a stark difference in quality, build infrastructure, and the price points from then to now. And so, to me,
there is a significant.
It's a total scam. I'm sorry, Gunnar, for cutting you off. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just echoing what you said. There is a significant difference between collector's editions now and of yesteryear.
Yeah, and so listen. If anybody listening wants to buy these collector's edition, if you got it like that and it doesn't bother you, then hey, go for it. Like I'm gonna sleep fine at night. Listen, I'm a cheap ass too. Like some of my I have a Jill Valentine statue, the one that was supposed to come with Resident Evil 3 remake, and I had it pre-ordered. I had it paid off too, but it came out, and I had it pre-ordered at a GameStop. I had it pre-ordered, paid off in full, but because it came out during the pandemic, I couldn't pick it up because stores were closed. Everything was on lockdown, and they sold my collector's edition to somebody online, I guess. And so, I got my money back or whatever, but I still kind of wanted the statue because Joe's my favorite character from the RE universe. And I saw a bootleg Chinese one that looked pretty close to the original for like $40. I was like, fuck it. And I bought that. And it's like, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, if you look hard enough, you can tell. But like, at a glance, at a distance, it's Jill. Whatever. I don't care. And I paid a fraction to get that. And I'm pretty sure the Chinese factory, the company that produced that duplicate, they got their $40. If they got $40 for that, right? And that's just a remold of the original, I'm sure. Then how much did they really spend to produce these things, right? Probably around the same, right? Yet they charged $220 or whatever it was for the collector's edition. Yeah, sure, they came with packaging, came with the game, came with like a cloth map or whatever. That's all fine and good. But like, let's be real. Like, they're not spending more than $100 to produce the entire package, and they're charging double. Which, again, they got to make their profit, but like, the price point has to be attractive enough, and it has to match the quality of the product, and on like across the board kind of a thing for me to actually invest into it. So, to answer the question, I think modern collector's editions are a scam. I don't know if there's a collector's edition that I'm going to buy in the future. I know we were looking at some collector's editions a few weeks ago. We were looking at the Metal Gear Solid Delta collector's edition, and like it's like $150, and it's like this tiny statue of Big Boss. And I say statue. It's like he's like 4 inches, and he's like crouched behind this like
amiibo
little
size
tree
almost,
or whatever.
yeah.
It's like the whole diorama is like maybe 6 inches tall, and it's like, and it looks super low quality based off the picture that they had shown. And I was like, what's stopping me from getting a figurine of Snake just like that for like $20, $30, $40, and just going to Michael's or any other hobby store and buying like a fake tree and a little base and kind of making the same diorama for like less than half of the value? It's like, that's crazy. Like, why would I do that, right? Or if even better, like, why not just buy a 3D printer and just make my own shit, and just print my own stuff? I don't know. I just can't justify it. It's hard for me. And, I'm sorry, Miss Esoteric, I'm kind of using you as like an example, and I'm using some of your personal experiences as reasons as to why I hate modern collector's editions. So I'm not trying to call you out. But, I can't help but like see that and feel a certain way about it. And it influences my opinions and my perspective and my future, purchasing decisions surrounding, these products. So I don't know. Those are my overall thoughts. I'm not against collector's editions as a concept. I'm not against statue collecting as a concept. I'd be a pretty big hypocrite because I have a ton of stuff. Like I have so many statues and models and stuff on display. But as a consumer, I feel like we're being taken advantage of because our love for these IPs and these franchises is being milked for ultimate profit. And I think it's the doing of like executives and the business, the suits. I don't think it's the directors or developers or the artists. I think it's just, hey, like, how cheap can we make this, and how much can we charge for it without like it being a problem? and let's maximize profitability kind of a thing. And it's like disgusting. It's not about a love for the game or a love for the franchise. It's about just, milking us for everything
Exactly.
we're worth. And it's like, I don't know. I don't want to participate in it.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. To use me as an example. I definitely understand. I'm not made of money, so it does take a hit when I do acquire these collector's editions. But again, it's more so just to kind of sort of have some content for the channel, and also just to have pieces of what I like. Um, you know, yes, there are other ways that you can acquire them, especially with a 3D printer, which is phenomenal. But I think what you're paying mostly for, air quotes, because yes, the price points of some collector's editions are outrageous. Um, I think what they try to incorporate in that is the work that they put into it. You know what I'm saying? Because if, let's say, I acquire a 3D printer, well, yes, the easy part would be able to print the stuff out. That's the easy part, because there's a lot of like models and like files online that you can search and generate this figure yourself. But then there's the coloring aspect. There's the after it's done in the filament, after it's done, producing the filament and making the statue. Then you have to like sand some of the stuff off, break some of the pieces off to make it look really good. Now, I'm not justifying the prices, because yes, they definitely are, scamming us in that sense. Because as you stated a few moments ago, there were collector's editions like maybe a decade ago that still holds weight. Like I'm looking at my Halo 3 helmet collector's edition, which looks amazing. You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what the material. I mean, it's made out of probably hard plastic or whatnot, but it looks nice enough that people can make it. People would think that it's metallic or something because it has a nice finish or whatnot. And also the Gears of War statue of Marcus Phoenix, like those
Yeah,
are
it's a
amazing
good one.
statues.
Even the you have the Halo
Um,
Reach one too, which I think is really nice too.
yes, the Halo Reach is pretty good too. Um, and I do like the Armor Core 6 Collect Premium Edition. The price point was a little crazy. I was contemplating, and me pushing the button actually won. But hindsight is 2020, because I had no idea that they were going to make um kits of the Armor Core mechs and whatnot. Because my mindset behind Armor Core 6 was that we don't get many of these types of games. They don't make a lot of merchandise for it. Chances are this is going to be the only thing that I can acquire of it. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let me get it. And then a year or two later, I think it's a year and a half or whatever, they're making new merch for it. So I'm like super shocked. So a part of it is hindsight being 2020. Um, like I acquired the Tekken 8 statue because Jin is one of my favorite characters. But had I knew that in the future it would have diminished in price so significantly and so immediately, I would have waited. Um,
Well,
so I
of
think for
course,
certain
I feel like
things,
that's
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
given.
So I mean,
well, yeah, but there are some people who acquire collector's editions because they absolutely can't wait. Like they just gotta have it. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
Well, yeah,
So
it's the FOMO. It's in the name, collector's edition. Like once this is gone, it's gone.
yeah,
So, and you don't know. Like not every collector's edition ends up like the Tekken 8. Some end up like the Symphonia games or the Tales of games, where those collector's editions went super quick, or the Zelda ones, where if you weren't on that line at GameStop when they announced it, chances are you weren't gonna get it.
yeah.
So,
Pretty much anything Nintendo makes as a collector's edition, you have to be on it, because if you're not, chances are when they say limited edition or collector's edition, they absolutely mean it.
yeah.
It's seldom that there's something that they constitute as a collector's edition and it doesn't leave the shelves. Um, But yeah, there are other instances as well, like the whole Yorm the Giant. Like I thought it looked cool, but given the circumstances at that current time, I could not. I wanted to wait and see if they had any available, and that sold out like hotcakes. I was shocked because I was like, oh my god, for this being the price that it is, I don't think a lot of people are going to get it. And sure enough, people purchased it, and it's a beautiful statue. If I could get it for like half the price, but chances are it's up in value because it's such a well detailed statue, and it's it's massive in terms of height,
It's big.
and it's also heavy. So I know that statue is well over the price point of the $700 that it came out for. But yeah, this your take Kong and your take Gunna as well is very enlightening. I did speak off the podcast with you guys about being a little more cognizant and strategic with my purchases, especially with games, because there's a lot of games that sit on my shelf that I have yet to play. And I can easily have it wait for I can easily wait a couple of months till it goes down in price, because games have been going down quite fast, quite significantly in price within like a matter of months, to purchase it then and then decide to like play and give it my review. So yeah, I mean, again, you guys' takes are absolutely way more not way more, but absolutely enlightening. It is a scam. I would have to agree. It absolutely is a scam, given what they provide us with. And it's, besides the statue, it's the typical cookie cutter stuff. Here's your DLC. Here's a couple of cards. Here's a small map of whatever it is, soundtrack, things of that nature. Yeah, if the statue doesn't equate to the price, then I can see where it's not worth the buy.
And unfortunately, I've said it, but I'll repeat myself again. A lot of modern collector's editions, I would use that terminology, modern collector's editions, it's another way for them to sell you the whole game. Because how many times have we seen exclusive collector's edition mission, exclusive armor set, and will this armor set come later? Chances are probably, because they're going to want to get that $10 from me who didn't get the collector's edition. So it just feels scummier, because at that point, minus the physical stuff, the in-game stuff isn't even special. Because I can just wait and then get like the digital deluxe upgrade or the collector's edition upgrade, where I get the in-game armor and equipment and whatever.
Yeah, to me those are even more egregious, because if Ubisoft of course is like notorious for like the gold edition, the premium edition, the ultimate edition. It's like these different tiers to just nickel and dime you, and then it's all cut content. It's content that could have been in the game day one on the base game, but they were like, nah, we can cut this piece out and we'll just upcharge you for it. And it's just like, oh fuck, like that's even worse than the whole statue thing, because it's like, wow, like you're selling me digital shit that like should have just been a part of the base game. Like that's such a shithead thing to do. But
yeah, but they'll put the title of collectors, like you said, gold edition, platinum, superstar edition, and it's just words.
And sadly, if you're more susceptible and you're like obsessive, like an obsessive collector, like I've seen people buy each version of the game.
Oh goodness!
Oh wow!
Just to have all of them, because there would be variants. There would be like each tier would have like a different steelbook art. And they're like, well, fuck, I want all of them. And they plunk down $500 for like the every variant of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I'm just like, holy shit, that's crazy. Like, wow, like this guy bought the game 4 times.
Yeah, and Ubisoft is rubbing their hands like, oh hell yeah, okay, we're gonna do this for the next game and the next game, and that's the modern. When I mean modern collector's editions, that's what I'm referring. That's why I feel collector's editions, like, back then there were egregious ones. I'm not gonna say rose tinted glasses. I'm not gonna say back when I was buying collector's editions in the 2000s they never ripped me off. No, they were out there. They were there, but it's like it seems like it's the norm now, and now they're $500 instead of $100. So
Yeah, I would like to also say that I would like to give a shout out to like Activision because they were very creative with their Call of Duty collector's editions. Like they had things that actually worked. Like I remember the Black Ops collector's edition, which I ended up getting. It was an actual remote control car that had a built-in camera into. So you know the little RC that you have that explodes in the game.
Yeah, I remember that collector.
They gave they gave you that, and they gave you like a little camera within the control stick. I've never actually gotten to use it because I've never found time to like put the batteries in or whatever. But it was a remote control RC with the camera, so you can like kind of drive it the same way that they did in the game. And then I believe it was either Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3, where they had the night vision goggles.
MW2.
Which actually worked as well. Like that was some creative stuff, and their price point was nowhere near the amount of like the Armored Core 6 Premium Edition. It was like maybe 200 most.
And now what are they doing? Digital Deluxe Edition. Play the game 5 days early. Give me money, please.
Yeah, I mean, with that, I see that being somewhat of a benefit if you're a content creator. If you want to have the game 5 days early and you just want to get a review in and you just want to bring people like a new set of eyes to your channel, completely understandable. But for them to do that, yeah, it's
so I get to play a game, the buggiest version of the game earlier, and I get to pay more for it. Fucking sign me up.
Here's my credit card and my mortgage. I took a loan out of my house. There you go. So it sucks that like even something like collector's editions has become so commercialized and factory processed that that word has kind of lost its value, at least with me. And even games I like Warhammer 40K, that collector's edition was not worth what they were asking for, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll just buy the standard game. So now that I'm older and I'm wiser and I'm not so impulsive as I was when I was younger, now I can stop myself, like look at my bank account and like look at what's on offer and then make that intelligent decision of, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like is the money they're asking for worth it in comparison to what I'm getting? And it's fine that money's gone. It's whatever now. I can't take it back. But at least now that I'm older and wiser, I can make decisions. And modern collector's editions, just 9 times out of 10 aren't worth it. So standard game it is.
Yep. So that was it for me. Do you guys have any final thoughts? I know Gunnar just basically gave his final thought.
No, yeah, that was my final thought. Yeah.
Anything from you, Esoteric?
Just for everyone, including myself, to be a little more cognizant when purchasing collector's editions. If you have the funds, if you have a unlimited source of income, then by all means have at it, do what you wish to. At the end of the day, it's your money. However, if you're someone who has like a crap ton of responsibilities and you're limited in terms of resources, then maybe acquiring a collector's edition might not be, or acquiring every collector's edition might not be a good thing for you. Again, outside of, my streaming career and building the channel of the Logical Gamers brand, I would be collecting collector's editions. However, it would be down to a minimum, although I do acquire things that I actually like. I don't just buy things of products that I don't play or don't have any interest in. Like the Space Marine definitely look cool, but I don't know anything about Warhammer. I haven't even read the books, which I need to read I think I'm starting off with the I think it's called the Horus Rising or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm the type of person that needs to start exactly from the beginning because you can't put me in the middle of something and then expect me to like kind of pivot and figure out what's going on. That's just not me.
Oh,
So I have
that's
to
exactly what I did, but that's just me.
I can't do it. Like I can't do it. I have to start from the beginning and then maybe go off on tangents. But I have to see what happened in Ground Zero, what's going on to understand what's happening. That's just me. But it's a beautiful piece. And for those of you who look to acquire it, who are heavy fans of Space Marine, then by all means. But all that we basically say is that just be more cognizant with your money. And you know, hopefully any of the things that all of us mentioned today pertaining to collector's editions, hopefully you guys can acquire that information and utilize it for your day-to-day decision making when it comes to purchasing things like this. And that's pretty much it for my end.
Okay, so with that being said, those who are listening, thank you for your viewership. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like or dislike if you disliked it. Comment down below. What do you think about collector's editions? Are you a fan of modern collector's editions? Are you more kin to older collector's editions? Do you not care? You know, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. If you do like collector's editions, what are some that you have that you really like? What are some that you have that you might not like? I'd love to hear about it. If you are interested in viewing our content on other platforms, we have a presence on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Discord. All those links are in the description down below. We also have a Twitch channel, Mr. Esoteric Streams, Mr. Esoteric Skills Streams. There's too many S's in that sentence. Streams on the Twitch channel 2 to 3 times a day, or 2 to 3 times a week. Oh man, I'm fucking up. 2 to 3 times a week, every week on Twitch. He plays all sorts of games, so definitely check out his channel, give him a follow. And we do podcast episodes like this every single week. We publish every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. We cover all sorts of topics from modern, like current day news, to opinion pieces like this one, to tier list episodes. We do all sorts of conversations. So if you're looking for content, just to kind of put in the background and kind of listen to, and if you're interested in hearing different perspectives on a particular topic, then I think our channel's for you. So with that being said, thank you, panelists, thank you, listeners, and we'll see you next week.
See you then.
Right. Take it easy.